Hello, everybody. Today, another special guest, another very well experienced bodybuilder. He's won in many federations. Today, I have Ben Lloyd with me. How you doing, Ben? You okay?
Yeah, good, thanks.
Please introduce yourself to the guys who don't know who you are.
So, yeah, I'm 39. I'm a PT and online coach. I've been competing since I was 32. The first year I competed, I managed to get my pro card for the DFAC. Quite lucky, I'd say, that particular year. And then I've competed again 3 years later for the UK DFBA and the DFAC. Got another pro card then with the UK DFBA, and I competed again last year for all sorts of federations. So I did the DFAC, I did the WMBF, and I did the PMBA. So I did all three federations. I'm hoping to compete again next year.
Nice. So, one thing you said there that I didn't know before we touch on some other things with that, I didn't know you got your DFAC Pro card in your first year.
Yeah, I did.
Flipping now, how old are you?
32.
Right.
32.
So, how new were you into bodybuilding as far as not necessarily competing, but training like a bodybuilder? Like,
I'd say that was the first year I trained like a bodybuilder, because
right,
that was the year I got myself a coach. I was training, since I was 18,
right, okay.
but never like writing stuff down, never taking it seriously,
Yeah,
never
yeah,
following a training plan.
yeah,
In
yeah,
fact,
yeah.
when I was a PT for a good 5 years, I never used to give people training plans. I used to just say, just go to the gym, just do what you want. That's what I do.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
That
yeah,
don't quite work. And I was struggling with diet as well. So that was one of the main reasons I competed. Is I struggle with diet. I needed to learn a bit about diet, and there were a coach that I followed called Ant Sidrick. He was my original
yeah.
coach. He competed and he won his show for the BMBF
Right.
Southern, and he was eating all sorts. He was following a real flexible dieting approach, eating like crisps and sweets and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
yeah,
I just
yeah,
thought,
yeah,
why is he eating all that?
yeah.
I need to know what he knows about diet, because he got shredded and won his show.
Right.
I contacted him for him to be my coach and to do a prep, but for also to learn about what he knew about diets. And
Yeah.
he just gave me some macros for my fitness pal. I'm a bit like, well, what shall I eat? He just said, well, just eat what you want.
Yeah,
I'm a
yeah,
bit
yeah.
like,
Just
all
make
right.
it make sure it matches the macros, basically.
Yes, so I just took it to the extreme. I just did a real flexible approach that year,
Yeah.
eating all sorts, just like getting sweets in there, all sorts of foods I wouldn't normally eat now.
Yeah.
And yeah, it worked. And entered as a novice, my first show was BMBF in the Northern one in Manchester.
Yep.
Entered as a novice, I won the overall there, and then got invited to the British finals for the BMBF. So I only did BMBF that year because I
Yeah.
didn't know of any other federations
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
uh, as well. And went to the British finals, won the novice final, and then went to Worlds in Miami,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
that's where I got my pro card.
Flipping
So
hell.
yeah, so I meant
And
to
you,
compete as a novice. So I
yeah.
already admitted that I want to be a world champion, like novice. And I
Mhm.
got there. They said there's not enough novices, so you're gonna have to go in the open heavyweights.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
a bit like, oh, if I'd
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
known that, I'd probably not come.
Yeah.
But as it were, managed to win that one. So
Listen, if you're the best, you're the best. If you're the best on the
I
day, you're the best on
think
the
they
day.
went for condition. It was right about the time where condition beats more or less everything.
Yeah.
So there
Yeah.
were
Yeah.
bigger guys than me, but I was probably the leanest.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
it's more condition and size, isn't
Yeah,
it?
you need both. You need both, and I like the way the sport is going with that because not just because not just because the hardest workers obviously the hardest workers will win back then because conditioning is probably the hardest bit. We love going to the gym, we love training, all of us typically, and you love putting on size. So the conditioning side is always the toughest. Not again, like you said, the knowledge that it takes to get shredded, and then secondly, the work it takes, like ignoring the typically, obviously not in your case, which we'll touch on, but typically ignoring the sweets, the chocolate, the burgers, the hot dogs, or whatever is what's needed to get to that level of conditioning. Um, so right, there's so many things I want to bring up just from what you just said. I'm so interested now. Okay, so I remember we met up, trained together years ago. And for you guys who haven't seen it, that's from like one of my archived videos now. It's still on my YouTube, so go down and have a look at the training session we did. We trained legs. That was one of my favorite videos actually to train to this day. So we we trained before, and I remember you saying that you were more of a flexible dieter in prep. Yeah.
Mhm.
Now, for the guys who don't know Ben and haven't seen Ben, one of the eye-catching elements of Ben's physique is his conditioning. The second, from what I saw in 2022, you competed like 2022, didn't you?
Yes.
Yeah, at the Grand Prix, and I know you did other shows, but I saw you in person at the Grand Prix. He's huge. He's a big guy. Ben is big. So Ben carries a lot of tissue. He's got a big frame anyway, and you have a big stature anyway. And then you're next to Dave K, you were the most conditioned person there. And to know that you've been conditioned for a very long time and you were doing it eating sweets and chocolate in prep, that brings up a very, I need to draw a line right now for the people thinking, okay, I'm going to do that. There's a genetic gift there that is involved. Yes, there's knowledge. Yes, I know you probably implement things at the right time. You're not literally sitting there eating Smarties all day. I'm sure you implement good foods amongst the less traditional foods and so on and so forth. But for the guys watching, it's very unlikely you're going to be able to do that and come in your true condition. So, how long did you run that sort of flexibility for? Or is it something you still do now?
Not anymore. So I did it for my first prep,
Mhm.
did it for my second prep,
Yeah.
but this last one, it were a meal plan, and it was
Okay.
2021 actually. It wasn't 2022.
Right,
So,
right, right, right.
so very much a meal plan this time round. Just because when I set off dieting, I loaded up with my fitness pal, and I just thought I can't be bothered with all this. It's just taking up too much time just to mix it up every day. What we're going to have next, I just thought, that hits my numbers. I'm just going to eat the same thing. Although my coach at the time, Alberto Nunez, really
Right,
good coach.
right.
I think he wanted me to go down more of a flexible approach, just have a bit of what you fancy now and again. But
Yeah.
I just wanted to not think about it. So I do think it's more beneficial to go down the meal plan route for when you're dieting for a contest.
Did you see a difference in your look, or when you say there's more benefit for you specifically, was that just the taking off the mental, I wouldn't say pressure, but the mental energy it takes to think about what you want to have differently each day? Is it just because you want to be an autopilot, or did you see a difference in your look?
A bit of both. So I did gain weight on every single prep. So my
Right,
stage weight, my lowest weight of prep in that first one was about 79 kilograms. So I got really light.
right,
Then in 2019, I got down to 83.4.
okay,
And then this time, I think the lowest were 85.8. It just briefly went there
right,
after a refeed day of all things. But
yeah,
so my weight constantly went up. So I suppose that is, you're building muscle, but it
yes,
was more just that mental pressure of having to just think about what to have. I just ate
yeah,
the same thing, and the foods that I went for as well were like the most filling foods. I had potatoes and chicken,
yeah,
whereas before it was like rice and like sweets and things like that.
yeah, yeah. So how
Like
tall are you?
uh, just under 6 foot, so 182 centimeters.
Right, okay. So I'm trying to figure out because you're probably, I don't want to offend anybody, but I think you're the biggest guy who's been on here so far. Yeah, I think you are. Yeah, you are. You are. You are. You're the biggest guy who's been on here, and I'm very light. So you said 79. You said 79, which is very light. To me, 79 would be a dream. Like on
Yeah,
stage weight, I mean stage weight, because on
right,
stage I'm 74. The heaviest I've
right.
been, 74, and I won my pro card at 74. Yes, I'm 5'5", but still, I would love to be 79 to 80 on stage, or like shredded to the condition that I bring typically. That would be a dream for me. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I bring up your height and your size because you're obviously going to be eating more food than most people calorically because you're a bigger guy. You are big anyway in terms of tissue for your frame. You're not just tall. You know, there's some guys who are heavy and they're heavyweights by default because they're tall. You're not one of those guys. You genuinely, like, I saw you in 2021 and yeah, you were fucking massive. Like, Dave comes out and you're like, cool, he's probably going to be the biggest next to Nate. And then I think you came out first. You were the first pro who came out and did your display first, I believe, or second after Opio. It's one of the two.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. It was one of the two. And then Chris McCready came out. What a show, by the way. And yeah, and you came out, and I was like, oh shit, he is big, very, very big. Usually I'm used to seeing you conditioned, like I know you're conditioned, and you came out and you were just as shredded as you always usually was, and yeah, you were just so much bigger than I remember you being. And I don't know. Do you think because obviously you're a coach, you're a PT, you coach a lot of people. I know from the conversations we've had previously, loads of those people are lifestyle, so maybe not applicable to this. But for any of the athletes you have you found that the bigger guys tend to get conditioned more easily? Is it harder for them to get conditioned? Is that something that you've maybe seen that draws similarities into how your body reacts in prep, or is it do you think yours is genetic?
I think typically it is harder for some bigger guys to get lean, and normally like, it's the lightweights in it that are the
Yeah,
most lean, and then
yeah,
the heavyweight category.
yeah,
If you get someone like really lean, then they'll normally win it. But
yeah, yeah.
there's some people much heavier than me. Is it Kendall from
Yes, yes,
America?
yes,
He
yes.
put his like stage weight. He's like 98 kilogram or
Yeah, I
something.
think he's a similar height to you as well. So
That's a
yeah,
ton of muscle.
I thought he was shorter, but I'd been speaking to a few people who have done IFBB, and they've said no, he's towards 6 foot. He's in the taller category for classic. But yeah, yeah,
So
big
there's some
guy.
really heavily muscled people out there, really. And
Yeah,
I
agreed.
suppose height does have an impact. And that DFAC, I think I was the tallest
Yeah,
as
yeah, yeah.
well, but just marginally heavier. But they only weighed us with our clothes on. And they
Yes,
said,
yeah,
oh, like today the heaviest is Ben, but I think we're all just like within about a kilogram or two away from each other. Me,
yeah,
David, Nathan, and Keefe.
yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
but me being slightly taller,
yeah,
maybe not as muscled as
yeah,
some of them. But
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So if I was to if I was to describe you as a well, some of your characteristics, so I would say I have genetics on my side. So you have guys who have run of the mill genetics. It's genetics for bodybuilding, but they don't have any particular characteristic that helps them for stage. They are just a solid bodybuilder, and their work will shine through, and the harder they work, it will shine through. I will admit that I put on muscle fairly easily. So I work hard as hell in the gym, and I don't snack in the off season. I have my planned cheat meals, and I eat fairly to plan all the time. Yeah, I like to push the boundary with my weight a little bit. I like to get fluffy, then to come back down. That's just how I like it. It allows me some like just to be social with my wife and friends and all that kind of stuff in the meantime. But generally speaking, I don't really drink alcohol. I don't really do all that kind of stuff. So as genetically gifted as I believe I am, I still apply myself. There are guys like you said, Keefe. Keefe is clearly strength. He lifts like I've never seen anyone lift before, and he's as strong as I've ever seen a natural lifter be. Yeah, and not to say he doesn't work hard. Obviously, he does, and he trains in a way that helps his strength progress. But for you, for example, I would say, and Dave K as well, I would say that both of you, I would say conditioning is like a calling card for you. If you two, if there's anything I know you're going to turn up, it's going to be conditioned. Like I know it's going to be that. Would you agree that you feel that that you have genetics on your side, or are you doing things year round where you're like it's not genetics? I'm putting in the work every day, and I'm doing these things that other people are not doing. If you know what I mean.
I'd say a bit of both. Previously, with my off seasons, I never really like stuck to a diet, whereas this time I am. I think having a coach in the off season has helped with that. Like I'm hitting particular calories.
Yeah.
I'm taking it more seriously this off season, whereas previously I just ate what I wanted and got my weight really high, which didn't really benefit me look in the long run. I got a bit too heavy on two occasions now. I've started my prep from like an all-time high body weight and then just cut all the way. And
Yeah.
it's just led for like a very long diet, like 40, 50 week diet, which
Yeah.
this time round, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to stay round about 105 kilogram, 106,
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
do a bit of a mini cut hold and then cut from there. So,
Yeah.
yeah, a bit of genetics. I think like we come from a sporting family, obviously, and they're quite lean. My sister's got like bicep vein on her. She doesn't even train. My brother were always like just a six pack. He eats like just bars of chocolate all the time, just
Yeah.
eating what he wants. He's just shredded all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think a bit of genetics does come in as well.
Yeah, I think for the guys watching, that needs to be considered because I know you put in the work. I see you. I know you've said you've been heavy in the past, but even that, I think people need to see what you're talking about because I've seen the posts that you're talking about where you were fluffier than I've seen you. But like when we met and trained, you were just in your off season and you were relatively lean. Like you were one of the people that I saw and trained with, and I was like, Gene, man, you need to keep it tight. Obviously, this was earlier in my lifting career. And in my first off season after 2019, so 2020, I got relative to me, I got fat, man. It wasn't real fat, but it was bodybuilder fat. Like I was fat. It wasn't. I got to a point where all the extra weight I was putting on after a point was not useful. It didn't make me stronger. I didn't look any better for it. Clearly, I wasn't putting on any useful tissue. Anything that I would put on, by the time you've taken off the 20 kilo you need to take off, you've lost all that new tissue that you thought you were putting on anyway. So it was a waste of time. So I know what you're talking about, but you weren't in that bad shape. I know you were fluffy, but you weren't in that bad shape.
Yeah. But do you think your physique improved last time you competed compared to previously?
Yes.
Yes. So,
Yeah.
pushing your weight up helped in a way.
Yes.
So,
Yes. That's why I do it because the first thing that guy said to me, and Vicky to be fair, but guy saw me and he was like, "Gee mate, you look twice the size you were when I last saw you," and I was like, "Yes, you know what I mean. I've been working, but I after getting because what I pushed myself to, I pushed myself up to like 96 when I was talking about, and I was seeing myself in clothes and I look fat, and I'm like, Gene man, you're fat. Like let's take it back down. So I worked back down to like 92 and I was still fat because I didn't have enough tissue to warrant that. Now, like today, well, yesterday morning, I was 88.7 off of a mini cut. And I've got abs, I've got lines in my quads. I've never looked like this anywhere near this weight. So my goal is to stand on stage next time at 77 kilo, my usual condition. Shredded, my usual condition. Obviously being 5'5", that's gonna look favourable to me. Yeah, that's gonna be favourable to me. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I've never been a numbers person in prep. Like I know we have our you set your numbers that you're like right. You're probably in shape around this number. But then when you get there, if there's fine tuning that's needed, you do the fine tuning. If not, then not. But sorry, my camera again. It's fine. I'll fix it in a minute. But yeah, that's the goal. But this time I've pushed my weight to its limit, but I've pushed my weight to its limit where I'm like, cool, this is now not helpful. Let me bring it back down again. So I found that 91.5 for me this off season is where I still hold on to a little bit of abs and my strength reflects that weight. I pushed up past that by accident, to be fair, to 92.7 and my lifting and stuff didn't improve. None of it improved. Like so, I was like, this is just excess weight. There's no point. So I pulled it right back down to where I'm now. My plan is to get 88 and then push back up to 91.5 and then hold 91.5 until prep starts. And then that'll give me like a 25 to 30 week prep, which is fine for me. If I get something less than that, happy days. But 25 to 30 weeks is fine. It's fine for me.
yeah, anything longer is just torturous and potentially losing muscle, isn't it?
That's the thing. It's tedious. Like I did 36 weeks in 2020 when I won my when I won my pro card. 2020. You sure it wasn't 22 you competed? Because I won my pro card 21.
Are you sure?
Yes.
I don't even.
Yeah, it's 2022. I know it's 20. It was 100% 2022. Yeah, because there
I
wasn't a Grand
don't know
Prix.
what.
There wasn't a Grand Prix when I won mine. So Chris McCready won his 2020, and then they had a Grand Prix straight after, which he ended up winning. Then I did mine 2021, and then 2022. Who won? Liam Paul won 2022, but he didn't step into the pro show. Yeah, it was 2022. It was 2022.
Flipping it, got
Yeah.
me.
Listen,
Yeah.
you compete so much, you don't even know anymore. You don't even know anymore. So many pro shows. That brings me on to my next topic. So you competed with a lot of different federations. For more than one reason, I like that. First things first, I touched on it on the last podcast with Adam Powell, the last episode. Politically, sometimes it isn't so great. Like some people feel that there may be some unwanted bias from one federation to another, depending on who you compete with, who you align your allegiances with. so on and so forth. Is that something you've ever cared about, seen effects of, even thought about?
Not really,
No.
because like I say, when I first competed that year, I just watched a friend compete for BMBF, and I thought I could do that. I want to do that show next year, so I just started prepping with that show, that federation in mind,
Yeah.
a bit ignorant to other federations that were about, and then as soon as I'd done that, you immersed in bodybuilding, of other federations. I thought, well, I'll do the BMBF again as a pro, but I'll also do that UKDFBA one as well. I want to be a pro in that one.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
So I
yeah.
just went for that. There were no like, I don't know, no allegiance. I
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
really
yeah,
favour any federation. And just competing basically. Just
yeah.
when you diet, you might as well go for a few different shows. That's the way I
I
saw it.
agree. No, I agree. I agree. So yeah, that attitude obviously has taken you over to three or four different federations. Technically, a couple of them are the same iteration we were talking about before we started recording. Obviously, UKDFPA have switched partnerships maybe
Mm-hmm.
once or twice in the last however many years. So you've obviously thought, fuck it, I'm gonna conquer all them all, and you've kind of done what you need to do. So how many federations are you pro in?
Well, technically, I get it. I guess it's free.
Yeah,
So I'm a DFAC pro,
yeah.
and then I became a WMBF pro.
Mm,
But then because the UKDFBA changed affiliation, I got my PMBA pro card from just changing my affiliation to them.
right.
But then I just dropped because the PMBA World Finals were in Vegas, and then
Yes.
a week later there was the WNBF finals in California.
Right.
I just thought, well, it's a week away. I'm in America.
Yeah.
Me and one of my mates, we travelled over, and we did both shows.
Nice.
So I
Nice.
just thought because it's a week away, it's a chance not to be missed.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. 100%. If they're in the same general vicinity, obviously America's a big place, and you probably, I assume, you have to get on a flight from state to state. I would assume.
We drove over, so it was a 4 hour road trip over. We
Uh
rented a car. It was a really good trip,
yeah,
really.
4 hours isn't too bad. I thought I did.
No,
I don't. I did. I thought Vegas and Cali were further apart than that. 4 hours isn't too bad at all.
about 4 hours, yeah.
Yeah, 4 hours isn't too bad at all. Like when the world's no, not the world's, the Grand Prix for DFAC this year is Coventry, I think,
Right.
which is like 3.5 hours for me, and I think it's not really Midlands, but like it's like East, I think. It's like East, but like most people traveling into Coventry are gonna it probably be around the same sort of distance apart from like Scotland. Scotland obviously have to travel far. But yeah, the furthest I've traveled, and to be fair, I didn't drive. Opio did me a solid there. We drove up to Perth in 2019, and that was 8 hours.
It's a
So
long way up there,
yeah,
isn't
yeah, it was ridiculous, man. It was ridiculous. I in a way I wish I got on a flight, but when I fly, I retain water so badly. Like I go up like a shoe size almost when I go on holiday. It's ridiculous. So yeah, I try and avoid flying at all costs, and it's something that I've thought about. I've never done the worlds, and I've won four shows, two British finals. I've been invited twice, and I've never done them because it's just I'm like, oh, if I fly over there, I'm gonna have to go like a week and a bit in advance. Then you've got peak week out there, and we do quite a hard depletion and carb up again. Like that in itself is tough to even think about mentally. And then I'm gonna be sitting there thinking, "Gene, man, your ankles are this size, and you're
it?
just fat and just full of water." I would just stress. I think, and that's the reason I've never done them. Just because traveling for me on a plane, it's a lot. It's a lot. Like my body just does not take to it well at all.
It
How do
is
you usually
stressful.
how do you usually manage your traveling and competing abroad? What kind of time
Um,
frame do you give yourself?
get there early. Like to get
Yeah,
there, at least probably 4 or 5 days before the show. But I do find it stressful. You're just out of that routine.
yeah,
In a different place. I think last time we got accommodation with like in a hotel, so I didn't have cooking facilities.
Oh,
And he says as soon as you got there that we don't allow microwaves here. And I thought all the way I'm going to buy a microwave as soon as I get there.
yeah,
So I smuggled a microwave in.
yeah,
That was a hell of a workout because there were security guards. I had it in my bag like this, and
yeah, yeah, yeah,
they
yeah,
don't help. I'm like, no, I'm all right.
yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah,
so I
yeah, yeah,
carried this microwave all way to my room.
yeah,
And in America, I rented a fridge from the hotel as well for $50 a night. So I should have just bought a fridge as well.
yeah, yeah,
So just out of routine a little bit. And obviously your body clock, it's like daytime here, it's midnight there. So it's just adjusting to that.
yeah,
It's just, bodybuilding's routine, isn't it? All of a sudden you're just out of your routine. And,
yeah,
uh, but yeah, I suppose the more you do it, the better you get at it. And,
yeah,
yeah, it went all right. But I think my physique did go downhill a little bit from Vegas to California. Just that extra week of
yeah, yeah,
dieting
yeah,
just took it out of me a little bit. And I cut out water as well. So I tried to make weights for WMBF.
right,
And Alberto said we can make the middle weights. You need to be at this weight.
right,
So I didn't drink anything. I didn't weigh in until a particular time. And I don't think they used any of them, the cutoffs. They just literally just weighed people on the day. They just said, oh, you're a heavyweight. So I did that water. I cut out water for no reason. I think that potentially affected my physique a little bit.
yeah, definitely.
But yeah, definitely not happy with the physique overall last year as well. My quads in particular. So that's a big focus this year, just trying to really bring up my quads.
And keeping the fullness there. That's the thing,
Yeah.
because one of the outstanding body parts you do have, and why I asked you to train them when we did meet up was legs, because you got I've got good legs, and every time I see someone with good legs, I'm like, I need to train legs with this person because there might be something that I'm not doing that I could be doing, and vice versa, and we can probably be on the same wavelength with it all. And yeah, your legs are definitely one of your best body parts. You're solid across the board, obviously, but your legs are probably one of your best body parts. So for that to be an area of concern seems to be more of like a prep slash peaking issue, opposed to a musculature issue. Like they've always been a big plus point for you, I would say.
Yeah, last year I think they were a big weakness, especially when you stood alongside Nathan Williams, David Kay,
Yeah,
Barder. I were up against Barder in WNBF
yeah,
finals, and their quads were just miles bigger than mine. They were
yeah,
okay on the upper body.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
The
yeah,
back, my glutes weren't like as lean as what I wanted them to be, and I think possibly an execution issue with some of the exercises, and sleep wasn't great. My
yeah,
last prep, my sleep were atrocious compared to before, just because my caffeine take has been through the roof. I managed to rein that in a bit now. So I
right,
think the bits away from the prep wasn't good. The
yeah,
stress management, the PT sessions I were doing, the
yeah,
workload, it were just yeah. The first prep that I did, I weren't busy with PT sessions. I didn't have a family. It was just me.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
just
yeah,
dedicated everything to it. I just slept, just had a lie in when I wanted.
yeah.
The stress were better, but yeah, this time round, next time round, going to look to improve the things like the sleep and things like that, and definitely the execution on some of my
Yeah.
exercises on the leg exercises.
How do you feel? How do you feel at the moment with the progress you've made since then in your off season so far?
I think it's been all right. It's just like again, my workload is really high, so I'm looking to taper it down a little bit. Just the PT sessions this week, for example, I've done 47 PT sessions, and one of the days, Monday, it were 10 PT sessions and 19 check-ins. So that day was just
Oh,
6 o'clock till 9 o'clock, full working, no time to have proper meals, just like blended shakes.
yeah.
But it's not sustainable really. So I'm looking to just taper it down a little bit.
We again, like we were saying before we started recording, it's a good problem to have because let's be honest, bills have to come first. But when when it's taken from your bodybuilding that much, and you know that you're not bringing the best package you can because of that external stress and pressure, it's yeah, is a big deal. Um, I'm sure you'll nail it this time. Obviously, you've got a new coach this time around.
Yeah,
AJ Morris is helping you out.
he is. Yeah.
How's that going? How's that going?
It's going well, yeah. I think again having that accountability in the off season,
Yeah.
people that I'd say, I've got a coach. They're like, why do you need a coach? It's like, I don't know. You just take it a bit more seriously. As soon as I've got a calorie target to aim for, I'm hitting that calorie target. I'm not having as many takeaways as I normally would. I still have the odd one,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
uh, and I'm just like, just taking it more seriously. You know what I mean? he said to me, you need to reduce your caffeine on last check-in. So this week has been one of the best weeks for reducing my caffeine. I've just had like 1 cup of coffee in the morning, no pre-workouts, no nothing. So I
Nice.
think just having someone tell you to do it just makes you take it a bit more seriously. And he's really good. He's very meticulous with everything.
Yeah.
Notice straight away.
Which is again an experienced coach, PT, and high level athlete like you are. I do feel like you're gonna need the presence of somebody who knows what they're talking about. It's all well and good someone being because they like again. Opio is also very meticulous, but the way he goes about things, if you ask, he'll explain. If you don't ask, it's here you are, do what you need to do. And that works for me because I trust Opio. So if it doesn't matter what he says to me, I'm gonna do it. That's just how it is, yeah. But if I was in the position where I was like, Opio, I see you've given me this, which is different from last prep, for example. Why have you done this? He'll be like, oh, it's because blah blah, blah. And you're like, oh shit. He knows exactly why he's doing what he's doing and what the alternatives could be if I needed them. But he knows what works for me, so he's giving me that. And I think when you're a high level athlete, people don't understand why we have a coach at all. But like you said, number one is accountability. And number two, listen, we don't know everything. We don't know everything. And in prep, in particular, where your mind is playing tricks on you every day, you need an eye that isn't in your situation. So Opio will see that I'm stressed, and I don't tell him I'm stressed, and I don't even necessarily act different. But he'll see me and he'll be like, "You're holding water." He's like, and I know you don't cheat on your diet because I know you. I know you don't cheat on your diet, so you're not holding water because of that. So why are you holding water? What's going on at home? Me and him are obviously friends, so we can have very personal, in-depth conversations. Me and him chat, 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 chat. 2 days later, I've dropped 1.5 kilos. He's like, there you go, because you're stressed. But he doesn't tell you before that. I know, like cortisol this, cortisol that, blah 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 blah. He doesn't do all that. He just sits there and he's like, I know what the problem is. Let me sort it out, and he sorts it out. And after, he'll be like, if you're stressed, you need to talk to me because, or talk to whoever the problem is with, because you're going to hold water. It's not going to affect your body properly. It's going to like blah 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 blah. And he just, when you're with somebody who just knows so much and they do it as their bread and butter, I think sometimes it's just good to have a second opinion. It's just good to have a second opinion. The best guys and some of the best coaches have coaches. Like,
Exactly. Well, in 2019, I prepped myself,
yeah,
and the decisive point in that prep. So I was really good at the UK FBA finals where I got my pro card, a really good look.
yeah,
But then there were like 4 weeks until the world finals where I pushed for more condition and that
I
backfired.
remember.
So
I
maybe a
remember.
coach there would have just said, don't push for more condition, like just push your calories up now. You know what I mean?
And
But
you finished, I want to say seventh, something like that.
yeah, real anticlimax for this. I'm disappointed with that. Really,
Yeah,
they
and
were a stat lineup. They were like 14 or something. There was a
still,
lot.
still, I think you would have been towards the top, if not number one, because you've 2019, you come off the stage coming second to Dave K. That was the second best Dave I've ever seen. The best Dave I've ever seen is 2022. And then you beat Solomon Anola, who dominated the circuit that year at the
Yeah,
UKDFB, and you beat him to get your pro card there. I remember these things because these things are
yeah,
like big deals to me because
yeah.
I'm I'm trying to shoot for where you guys are, so I pay attention to these things. So
Mm.
I'll never forget those things. And I'm like, then when you told me, oh yeah, I finished seventh for the thing, I'm like, they're either really good or you fucked up. It's one of those
Yeah,
two
because
because you
well, they were
beat
both really good, and I
yeah
messed up. I mean, the standard that year were it's always high at the WNBF Worlds, but
yeah
yeah,
yeah
my physique really backfired. I mean, I'd never share any pictures of what I looked like
right
leading up to that. It's just I don't know what happened. If it
yeah.
just looked really stringy, lost, just over dieted.
Yeah, so you went to a point where you pushed further. You wasn't pulling back a little bit. You were pushing further for that
Yeah,
extra bit of condition.
yeah, because I thought, well, I'm lean. Let's
Yeah.
try and get leaner.
Yes.
But I didn't. I ended up just looking worse. Yeah.
Which is where a coach helps because it's not that you do, so if you had a client in that same situation, you would have said to the client, "Listen, you're lean. Let's pull back a bit because you're just gonna go that dig a hole that you can't get out of." But because it's you and your mind's playing tricks on you, you don't make those informed decisions. You
Mm.
don't make those informed decisions. This is why, for the people listening, this is why you need a coach. It's not because they necessarily even have information that you don't, but they can see something you don't see because they're not emotionally invested the way you are. They're seeing it from a more analytic point of view. It's, listen, we can't push him more because he'll get worse. I know he wants to be leaner, but we can't. His body will not respond that way. We need to pull back. That's why you get a coach. That's why you get a coach. But no, I'm glad things are going well because I've never swapped a coach. I've never swapped coaches. So I've had the benefit of, first of all, being very successful with Opio. Second of all, agreeing with his philosophy and his approach. I massively agree with it. I've taken that into the way I coach people. I've taken it into the way I do, because I do my own off season, but it's because I want to learn my body. It will come to a point where I will ask Opio, listen, in the off season I want to follow what you have to say. But for right now, I'm finding out how far I can push my body with relaxing in my diet a little bit from here to there, to having to be strict from here to there. And I feel like I've found that good balance now, and what my body reacts with in terms of what foods digest well with me, so on and so forth. So it's getting to that point. But yeah, I definitely am lucky that I could stick with one coach. So whenever somebody says like I've switched coach and it's going well, I'm like I'm happy for you, because you're, especially someone like you who's a proven winner. It's like you don't want to swap coaches and it be a bad situation, because it's like, fuck, I was successful before I met this person and now they've kind of derailed it a little bit. So it's just a
Yeah.
bit, yeah.
Just
But
like
no,
to
it's good.
learn as well, because I'm like an online coach and a PT as well. It's good to get some of the best coaches around just to see what I can learn from them as well, just so I
Yeah,
can help me as a coach.
yeah, 100%. And I do pay special attention to, because when I get in conversations with people in general, they'll always tell me like, "Oh, this is the approach that I do. What do you do?" And you have conversations, and you're like, "Ah, I didn't know that. I picked up a little bit like of information I didn't know before. Take that away, research it, find out can I implement it? Is it as useful as what I'm doing, so on and so forth." And you learn. You learn.
When I spoke to Opio and yourself at one of the shows, he said, "Oh, you've been getting some good results with your clients." And I just said, "Yeah, what I do is just like give them some meal plans, and some of them contain McDonald's, sweets, biscuits."
Yeah.
He's like, "Are you taking on some new clients?"
Yeah.
Like he wanted to follow that approach. So
Yeah, do you know what? Opio's mind wouldn't let him. That I know it wouldn't. Opio's mind wouldn't let him. He is married to the highest nutritional foods as frequently as possible, and I'll never doubt it. Yeah, I do think with you in particular, like we said at the beginning of the pod, you have a genetic gift that, obviously you put the work in, but you have a genetic gift that allows you to get to a higher level of condition than other people, and probably slightly easier eating foods, more synthetic foods. Yeah, you can still get to that condition because your condition in person is filthy. So it's not. There's no question that you are supposed to. You know what I mean? That you can do that. But I just think for us, if that's not your particular gift, like my gift is putting on size. That's my gift, and the longer I do this, the bigger and bigger and bigger I'm gonna get, to a point where I might have to question myself, as in, do I need to continue getting bigger, or do I need to focus on something else? But I will just keep pushing and putting on tissue. I undereat more than I overeat, so that's something that I will. Yeah, I mean, let's discuss that quickly. Just seeing as we're talking about our genetics, so there's always a plus and a negative to these things. So, like I said, my genetic gift is that I don't really get flat. I don't get flat. So there has been two occasions: 2021 when I won my pro card, and 2019 at the finals. I've missed pump up. So I didn't pump up for the pre-judging at 2021, and I didn't pump up for the pre-judging in 2019 either, because I just missed it. Got the timings wrong. Ran downstairs, got my glaze on, ran out. Ran out.
oh god.
Everybody that saw me after, like, "Gee, mate, you're full as a house." In my head, I'm like, "Yeah, man, yeah, yo, it was good." I did not pump up. I didn't pump up, and I just missed it. I come out in the evening, and everyone saw, and they were like, "What the fuck did he just do?" And I'm like, "I pumped up. I managed to actually get some blood in my muscle this time, and now I look different." So my genetic gift is that. But then on the other side, I will be lying if I said I had the same level of accountability on the days where my structure doesn't line up as it should, to make sure I get meals in. I would rather undereat than overeat, because I put on weight very easily, including muscle and fat, but I lose weight quickly also. It's weird. So I can lose fat quickly, which is great, but my training is affected. So I've gone on them days where often people at my gym, they know. I'll walk in, grouchy as anything. They'll be like, "What's up?" I'll be like, "I've had one meal today." I go in, I fucking deadlift, and I'm like, my performance is not where it should be, but I look big still. So my mind's telling me, Gene, you're a bodybuilder, it's fine. As long as you look good, you're fine. But you're not going to gain the tissue you need if you're not training well and you're not performing well. So yes, I look great on one meal a day if I wanted to, but my performance is not where it should, and that's going to long term have a knock on effect. And I would say once every couple of weeks, I'll go to the gym and have one meal and maybe have another meal when I'm done, and then go bed. Yeah,
Bloody
it's
hell.
yeah. And I walk around still round
Big meals, are
cattails,
they?
huh?
They must be big meals.
Not really. So at the moment, my mini cut, I'm having 5 meals a day, which is fine. I just made it so it's manageable. I'm having like so it's 125. This is cooked weight. I do microwavable Tilda rice in the packs
Yeah.
because it's just quicker.
Yeah.
Half a bag of that basically.
It's better
With
than Uncle Ben's, isn't it?
so much better. I was on Uncle Ben's for about 3 years, and then OPO was like, "Nah, get rid of that shit. To have Tilda, it comes in so many different flavors. I just have plain basmati because I season up my chicken and all that stuff. It's fine, but yeah, it tastes fine to me anyway. I'm like I said, I'm not the food thing is not a big deal for me. I'm actually quite I'm stricter than I thought I was. I'm stricter than I thought I was, and yeah, I have like so I have that with chicken, that with mince, half a bag with chicken, half bag with mince, some vegetables of some kind, and a pink lady apple with both of those meals. I'll have oats in the morning sometimes. I've cut them out on push days. I do oats on legs and back days with banana and shit, make it taste nice. And then in the evening, it mixes up. I haven't had a potato in ages, I will admit. Most of it's still just rice and stuff, just because I'm cutting.
It's
But
harder to get. As soon as I stopped dieting, I cut out the potatoes. I
yeah,
mean,
I don't
they're
touch
brilliant when
potatoes.
you're dieting, all them like filling carbs, but struggle to get them in now.
Yeah. Potato for me, well, sweet potato, not a fucking chance am I touching that. I don't like it anyway.
No.
But white potato I do love, but it's just a bit stodgy. I'm already full, I'm not starving. So I'm like, I don't want to sit there and have to eat like 500 grams of white potato after I train. I just want to have something easy and then go to
Yeah, yeah.
sleep. So yeah, I just mix things up a little bit in the evening. I'll be a little bit more flexible, but it's all still like whole foods. It's all still whole foods and stuff, but I just mix them up in different ways. Sometimes I'll withhold some protein in the morning, have more in the evening, which in terms of absorption is not great, but in terms of me just enjoying myself is perfect because I can have like a steak in the evening.
Yeah.
So I mix things around because I have that benefit of my genetic gift, but I just need to be conscious that sometimes it will have a knock on effect to my training, which long term will obviously affect my overall progression.
So you're doing a mini cut now, did you say?
I'm on a mini cut now. It ends end of this month. I extended it because it was supposed to be like 5 to 6 weeks, but I went on holiday for 2 weeks in between to Egypt. I still lost zero point 0.2 kilo, but
You
it
didn't go
helped.
swimming in water, did you?
Huh?
You didn't go swimming in water in
No,
Egypt.
no, I didn't. No, no.
That shark attack. There was a
Oh,
shark attack.
really? In
Oh yeah.
Egypt?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Flipping now, I didn't know. I
Oh
didn't.
yeah, there was a shark attack.
Yeah, no, I didn't go. I didn't go into the sea. Definitely not. We went to the beach a few times, but we didn't go into the sea. I didn't even really swim. Like my wife is pregnant, obviously heavily pregnant, so she wasn't swimming that much. She went in there to cool off a couple times. I didn't really swim. I was just chilling, so it was alright for me. I was in the gym twice a day there because I was doing cardio and this and that and this and that. So I was
So
making sure I was on it.
is OPO coaching you now for the mini cut?
No, I do that.
No, you're doing it yourself.
Yeah, I do that.
Right, right.
Again, just the level of understanding I want to learn, and the best guinea pig is me. I don't want to test with other people. When I come with when I speak to other people and other clients, and they're like, "Oh, Gene, can I have this?" I'm like, "Yes, but this might be the effect." And then they'll be like, "But we were talking, and you said that has this effect on you." I'm like, "Yes, but I'm genetically gifted to react that way. We're not the same necessarily. Maybe we are, but I don't know that yet. So I don't want to be. I don't like guinea pigging with my clients. I don't like doing that. I prefer to do it with me, see what happens, and then say, right, this is what happens with me. I'll slowly implement it and see what happens, and then if I need to take it out, I'll take it out. When I first started, I literally just carbon copied whatever I would have on prep to my clients, and I realized very quickly that a lifestyle client does not want to eat that way. You have to be.
That's why it's tough. That's why I think for me clients, just to someone new to dieting,
Yeah,
start of a diet, just to
yeah,
give them a chicken, broccoli, potato, they're a bit like, oh.
Hmm.
So just following a bit of a more of a flexible approach to start with pays off. But then I say to them, when the going gets tough, which it will do if you keep like sticking to this,
Yeah,
then you might want to swap that for this, and
yeah,
you might want to go for the more filling carbs and
yeah.
more filling foods. But at the start, your hunger's not that high.
No.
It's hard to get some of them foods in the plain potatoes and plain
Yeah.
chickens.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I learned that quite quickly. At first, I got frustrated, I will admit, because you're like, well, I can fucking do it, so why can't they do it? But then you
Mm,
realize you put yourself, you're empathetic and sympathetic with it, and you're like, right, to be fair, I have this grand goal of being this great athlete. They just want to look good for a wedding that's coming up. They're not going to
exactly. And if you're
care.
to do their job, you'd probably struggle. I always think that,
Yeah,
just like me
yeah.
going to their job, I wouldn't know how to do it. So
No,
we'd like
no.
to do it.
Exactly.
But
Exactly
it's yeah,
that.
it's just supportive, isn't it, really?
Yeah, no, exactly. That's exactly the right term. Is supporting them because lifestyle clients are different to prep clients. Now, I'm helping somebody at the moment, and he's competing. Probably, he wants to do one early. I don't want him to do it, but he's probably going to do it anyway. It's up to him. I don't think he'll be ready to do it. He's just a bit, yeah. They're just, yeah. He's going to do what he wants to do. That's fine. But there's one in particular that he it's following the plan. I haven't given him like a formal plan. I've given him his macros. I've said I suggest these are the foods you play with. Don't start with this synthetic cereal this and chocolate bars this shit. Just keep it ground food and whatever. And again, it's going great. He's losing weight rapidly, in a obviously a good rapid speed and that kind of stuff, and it's all going well for him. But it will get to the point where I'm gonna have to be like, all right, now we have to do what athletes do. It's not
Mhm.
enough to just do to ride this train all the way to the end. It's not gonna work. We need
Yeah.
to make sure we're stapling down timings, the amounts of food placed in the right places. You're not having high levels of fats an hour before you go and train. You'll have that 3 hours in the meal before that, before you go and train. Just little things, implementing
Mhm.
the little things to make sure your body deals with it properly. That's where I'm gonna have to step in and see. But for the right now, it's his first show. I'll let him enjoy himself. I will admit, my first ever prep, it was tough because Opio, as much as understanding as Opio is, he asks you what is your goal. You tell him your goal, and it's like I will treat you accordingly to that goal. I don't care if you think it's hard. If you're telling me you want to be the best, you need to do what the best do, and the best
Mhm.
suffer and the best struggle. That's just what it is. So you have to do
Mhm.
that, and I did that, and obviously I've been successful from it. So you just have to have that level of understanding, knowing when to support and when to draw a line and say, if you want to be this, this is what needs to happen. You have to do this. No more of this. Oh, I'm going to be nice to you and all this. No, this is what you
Yeah.
need to do if you want to get it
Yeah.
done.
A bit more strict with contest prepped
Yeah,
athletes. It's like I did a check in with AJ and I was like, it were at a bodybuilding show, the natural bodybuilding
yes,
classic one, the UKFBA.
yeah,
And that week I were like, I had four clients competing and I used that as an excuse. I said, I've struggled with my diet this week. I've just been like focusing on them. And he says, literally, that's not an excuse. He says, you still need to like hit your calories.
yeah,
So I
yeah.
thought, flipping heck, normally there's no leniency there. He's just told me as it is. I thought that's good. You've got to be strict, haven't you? For
Yeah,
pro bodybuilders, you can't just come
that's
at me
it.
excuses like, well, I didn't have time to do it, so I just didn't do it.
I was gonna say you're a high level athlete. You're the highest level athlete that the natural sport has to offer. Like I think we kind of over. I don't know. Maybe you don't. I overlook it sometimes. Like people see me again. I don't have a big following on YouTube or on Instagram, but people will see me who've seen me on stage or have heard about me from competing. I mention your name a lot. I mention Dave K's name a lot. Nathan's name a lot. You guys are like you finished. You've only been beaten in the DFAC, as far as I'm aware, at your best that you've offered that year, any respective year, by Nate and Dave. Nate and Dave are the pinnacle of natural bodybuilding. They are. So you're not far off that conversation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when you really think about it like that, it's like to say, "Oh, I didn't have time today." That shit can't run. You have to make sure because I'm representing everybody else, kind of thing. Like Nate and Dave are in their own little bubble, but you're not that far off, in my opinion, anyway. From what
Yeah.
I see and what I saw in the flesh, you're not that far off. When you nail what you have to nail and you get your variables nailed down, and you don't necessarily, I say allow, it's a bit harsh because you need to pay your bills, and I will never not understand that. But when you allow your work life to take over your athletic side, you're never going to be 100%, but you at 100% pushes Dave and Nate more than anyone else can at the moment that I've seen anyway. There are some
No,
good up and coming guys, obviously, me being one of them, Keefe. There's the young guys, you know what I mean? We're coming up, but I don't think we're quite there yet. I'd be,
well, muscle maturity, isn't it? As you get older,
yeah,
you get better, definitely.
yeah,
That's. I wish I'd have competed younger. Definitely.
yeah,
39 now, so 40 next year.
yeah,
So you just feel like time's running out. I just wish I started a bit earlier, but I'm at the years now where potentially like you're at your peak. So
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
feel like I normally have 3 years off. This time round, it's just going to be 2 years. Just have the off season,
yeah,
then go again next year.
yeah. Okay, so you don't compete. Well, I know most of, well, Dave leaves at least a year, a gap year in between. I am kind of the same. I like to leave at least 1 year. I've done 2 years this time, but it's because of the baby and my hernia. I was planning on competing this year. So I don't, again, because I put on tissue quite quickly, I don't feel like I needed the 2 years. I think 1 year would have been fine. But I'm glad I took it because I've improved way more than I thought I would, which I'm really happy about, and I'm really excited to compete. And I was buzzing to compete this year, but obviously that's not going to happen now. So
So it's next year, is it?
next year, yeah, yeah, next year, next year,
So
next
we
year.
might be
So
on stage with each other.
yeah, next year. So the baby will be here, so I need to maneuver that. Which brings me on to my next question. So I remember, and I never forget, and I always chuckle to myself when you say it. Yeah, but I love it. After your first child, I want to say, how many kids you have? Two.
Two.
Yes, I thought so. After your first child, you told me, spoke, and you said that you and your missus had to establish a three strike rule when you prep because you get a little bit antsy, and she had to draw that line where, right, three times if I have to pull you up, you're pulling the plug on prep. Does
Yeah.
that still stand now? Does that still
Well,
stand?
that were never applied. I think there are about 20 strikes. So she and she said, when I was in America, I did a post on social media because I said to her, last one, that was the last one.
Yes,
And
yeah.
I did a post on social media saying, can't wait to do it again. And we're on phone for about an hour. She's
Yeah,
like, we're over. That's it. We're finished.
yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah,
can we not just chat about this when I get home? I'm in America.
yeah.
She said, I can't believe you're going to do another prep. So it's tough, isn't it? Everyone preps with you. And I've done it with small kids, just having a
Hmm.
baby. And yeah, I think I'll do another one, but then hopefully this next one will be the last one.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Well, listen, if you keep getting better, it's difficult to walk away, isn't it? It's difficult to walk away
It's
because
addictive, isn't it?
yeah,
You just get
yeah,
into it. At the time, during the prep, sometimes you can't wait for it to be over.
100%.
But then there's like when you come out of it, you think, oh, I could have done that better. I could have done that
Yes.
better.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
you've
yeah,
got
yeah,
to rectify that and come in looking
yeah.
better. So
And
that's
show people what I can be 100%. Because you think you're 100%, and you do it, and then you walk away, and you're like, nah, that could be better. And
yeah.
sometimes, well, definitely for me, because I'm quite early in it still. But like, I walk away and I see more faults than I see positives with me. I do beat myself up a little bit. I'm learning now not to. I've mentioned this a few times on different episodes, but like the last year and a half, I've learned to not beat myself so much, beat myself up so much, um, because we can all improve something. Everybody, even the best, even Nate and Dave, we look at them as like I said, well, I at least look at them as like the two top guys, and I'm sure they look at themselves and go, I need to do this better. I need to bring this up. This needs to improve. I'm sure they do. I will hopefully have one of them on soon. I need to try and get one of them on because I'd love to speak to them because the pressures of being at the top, that has to be a different pressure than being at the bottom of the pile, working your way up. But I don't necessarily think it's an easier pressure to have. Having everybody look at you as the one to beat must be tough.
He's very like stealthy, David K. So he never uploads anything on social media.
No, no,
He
he
just
doesn't.
comes in and texts the show,
Yeah.
then just does a single post saying like "one again."
Yeah, and
I
then
like
walks
that. It's
off.
just the immediate gratification of just uploading pictures on the build up to it.
Yeah,
Just focus on the end goal is what I like. But
yeah.
it's tough as well when you're an online coach. You almost have to document it a little bit, don't you?
Yeah, and yeah, I'm struggling with that. I've always struggled with it. This podcast helps a lot because I enjoy doing this. The reason I was doing the meetups before was because that's what I would love to do. But because I've got a job and let's be real, yeah, some of the best bodybuilders are all dotted around. Obviously, me and my wife came up to meet you, stayed the weekend, made a weekend of it. Then I've met around that same way. I've met Theo, Galab, um, what's the furthest I've got? I think you two are the furthest I've travelled. I've been Nottingham twice to meet up with Marcus Lee. Like I just dot around and meet people, but it's just not sustainable. If I want to do this every week, my weekends basically end up traveling to meet other people. It's not sustainable. So this podcast allows me to speak to the people I want to speak to, and then if we can at some later date, we can link up another session together when it suits everybody. But like the social media aspect of things, generally speaking, I find it real tough. Like I've posted once this week, and the fact that I'm thinking to myself, "Oh, Gene, you've only posted once this week," to me, I'm like, that's not what this is about. And I feel I'm only 28, but I'm old school in my thought process, and I'm like, people follow me in the first place because I'm a good athlete. Like
Mhm.
I want to focus on being an athlete, but when you're on off season and you're not necessarily posting what your body looks like every week, it's
Yeah,
like
it's just
why else are people on looking at you?
training clips, isn't it? It is hard. I mean, you've got to. I mean, I don't really like social media too much, but you need it as an
Yeah,
online coach, don't you? Because you need to
yeah,
advertise.
exactly.
But it's a tricky one. I mean, I did have a business mentor earlier in the year, and he got me talking in front of the camera, which
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
worked. I got a few clients, but didn't like doing it.
yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah,
tips for dealing with hunger type of things. And
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I think just everyone's doing it these days. And I think like when he looked at my profile, he says, "You got some good results, but no one knows who you are. It's
yeah,
like you've
yeah,
not introduced yourself or anything." And I was
yeah,
just a bit almost shy with it. I just wanted to just upload a picture now and again, but
yeah, yeah.
you got to do it, I suppose.
Yeah, you do. There's a lot of power in it though, because there's some guys even that. So I have a lot of people that say to me, "Oh, Gene, I didn't think you were the way you are." Until this podcast came out, I think people thought I was just very stoic and didn't really speak much and didn't, you know what I mean, just stayed in my corner. And I'm not like that at all. I just don't like posting my personal life on Instagram. That's number one. And number two, most of what I like to put is training. But people meet me in person. Somebody said I've never had this compliment before, but somebody told me the other day I was very charismatic, and I was like, yeah, maybe a little bit. Maybe. I don't know. Like to me, I'm like, because when you don't know me and I'm training in the gym, it's stern face, all of that. Stone face, like almost don't talk to me energy. Then as soon as you talk to me, it doesn't matter what age you are, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Like people talk to me and they're like, oh shit, like I didn't think you'd be like that. You're like a really nice guy. And I feel the same thing about other people. So like Dave doesn't post anything. Dave's first time seeing me was on stage in 2019. Then we had a conversation after and we're laughing and that. And I'm like, oh, he's a really nice guy. And again, same with everybody. Same with you. Same with Solomon Anola. Same with, well, Marcus is Marcus. Marcus is just playful all the time, eating burgers and shit in his off season and turning up shredded. But yeah, like there's a lot of guys you look at and I'm like, oh, I don't think you'd be that way. And they're just really pleasant people with their own lives, doing their own thing. And this bodybuilding thing is extra for a lot of guys. They're good at it, so they do it. But like you say, for you, where social media is business, it's definitely a powerful tool to put your likeness out as well as your results. I think people will be like, "Oh, I like him. He's friendly," da, 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 and then they come over to you to ask.
At
Yeah,
the minute, it's just results. I mean, it's just because of the amount of work I'm doing, the PT sessions, there's not much time to really set aside for like
yeah,
videos or, I mean, I could upload training footage, but
yeah,
I won't say I'm doing anything like remarkable at the minute in the gym. You always compare yourself to others, and there's some
yeah,
people deadlifting
yeah.
way over 200 kilogram. I'm like, I'll just keep my 180 just here, you know.
But I think there's still a place for that because so I always highlight my pressing, yeah, because my chest is very good and my delts I would say definitely have come up, yeah, and I'd say they're very good. Now I don't press. I'm not weak, obviously, but I'm not strong either. My leg training and my deadlifts are significantly stronger in comparison than my pressing is. But my chest is very good, and all of my pressing body parts are very good. One thing I can tell people, and you don't really get it unless you train with me, but I've trained chest with a few people now, and I think they realize the level of connection that I get when I train. So it's
Mm,
not necessarily about moving weight. Don't get me wrong, I love lifting heavy. I love lifting heavy relative to me. I love doing it. But there's lessons to be taught for the guys who say, "Oh, I'm a hard gainer. I don't put on muscle easily." Okay, train with me and we'll see how you actually train. And when you start pulling the weight down and you bring their execution up and they suddenly start packing on tissue, that's the most valuable lesson you can teach some younger people or just people new to the sport, basically. And I think
Yeah,
there's definitely value in what it is that you have to say. It doesn't matter
yeah,
whether you're lifting 300 kilo or not. Who cares?
yeah. So it's not the weight you lift, is it? I mean, it is
Yeah,
obviously,
yeah,
but it's
yeah.
also executing it properly as well. But I was very, very weak. That first prep that I did, went to the World Finals in Miami, and we're all on the rooftop just celebrating. And I was just like asking them, like, how much can you bench press type of thing? And they're all like 140, 150.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like, well, I did 90 for six before I come out. One of them said, "Oh, Vicky McCann could lift more than that." I'm like, all right.
I think it's listen. At the end of the day, like I said, again. You're the next one. When I talk about Nathan and Dave, it's you're the next one. Yes, there were guys. Sorry, I don't remember his name. The Nigerian guy who won the WNBF or the yeah.
Robert.
No,
No, what's he called?
you mentioned him before. Big legs. Is it
Oh, Barder. Barder.
Barda? Sorry, I
Yeah.
don't. Yeah, I forgot his name. Sorry. Like, what was my point? What was my point? Yeah, sorry. That was my point. Sorry. Like guys like him obviously haven't stepped on the stage with Nate and Dave. I'm sure there are other athletes dotted around. But as far as we're concerned in the DFAC, like you're third best behind Nate and Dave. In my opinion anyway, in my estimation. Because there isn't anyone who's finished close to Dave or Nate who you've not competed with other than maybe Shane Raymond. Shane Raymond is one in my mind where I'm like, if he chooses to compete again, I know he's similar age to you. He's 40-ish. I'm like, okay, cool. If he competes, I think it's a big problem for a lot of people. But he hasn't, and we can only go off what you've given on stage. And yeah, I think, yeah, for me anyway, you're third. You're third in my estimation. You're third to me. So when I think about it, I'm like, do I care that he benches? Well, you probably bench more now, but do I care that he benches 90? No, I can bench 120, but I'll get beat. So what difference does it make? We're not weightlifters, we're bodybuilders. Weightlifting is a necessary tool that we need to implement to be good bodybuilders, but that isn't the be all and end all. I do not get caught up in ego lifting either, and I will never get caught up in ego lifting. If I start lifting weight that I think this is too heavy for me and I'm risk of injury, I'm not lifting it. I'm gonna do what I need to do, execute it the way I know I need to execute it to grow. And then when I stand on stage and people are saying how much they lift, but I smoke them, and anyway, I don't care. As far as I'm concerned, that's what I'm here for. Give me the trophy. Whatever trophies your gym gives out for you lifting 300 kilo, go and get that. But in front of these judges, they don't care. They don't care what you squat. They don't care what you bench. They don't care what you deadlift. Do what you need to do to be the best bodybuilder. That's all that matters. Everything else is, again, fun. Don't get me wrong, it's fun. I love squatting a lot. It's fun. But nobody cares. When me and you train legs together, one of the first things you said to me is, I'm not the biggest, like I'm not the strongest pro. You know, your exact words were, I'm probably one of the weakest DFAC pros, is what you said. And I was like, doesn't matter. Irrelevant. Because your legs are twice the size as mine at the time. I was like, I'm nowhere near your standard, so it does not matter. And my legs are probably the strongest body part I have. So I went in there kind of like, okay, cool. At least I'm not gonna have to, you know what I mean, be absolutely just embarrassed with the weight that I'm lifting next to him, which is fine. So yeah, there was benefits to it. But yeah, anyone listening, forget all that. We're bodybuilders. As long as your physique matches the standard, nothing else matters. Nothing else matters. It's irrelevant. Absolutely irrelevant. Um, cool. What time are we on? Got a little bit more time left. Have you got anywhere to go? I don't want to hold you up.
Nope, nope.
Cool. Nice. Right, yeah, we got some more time left. Right, so the portion of the episode where I ask, and no pressure on you, but I think everyone I've asked so far, they don't have any other interests, yeah? I know you're a very busy man. Do you have any other interests? I know we've spoken before, you have a very sporting family, so there's a chance that you follow other sports, but I don't know. Do you have any other interests, whether it's sports, anything? Anything?
Well, yeah, I like football and cricket.
All right.
I
Okay.
don't play them anymore. I used to play a bit of football. no high standard, just semi-pro for a
Yeah,
team.
yeah,
Played a bit of cricket.
yeah,
Family good at cricket. I
yeah,
wasn't as good as cricket.
yeah.
Used to play a lot of computer games, but don't do it anymore.
Right,
Used to
right,
play
right,
a
right.
lot of computer games. Flipping out, I used to play them that much that I
Yeah.
had to bandage my fingers up before I played them.
Really?
I used to
Okay.
hammer the computer games, but I just feel guilty now. If I play, I could be doing other things.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
it's just work now. It's just work, and that's it. Just work's taken over.
yeah. Do you when you? So I will admit, yeah, I will admit, bodybuilding for me, I do it because I'm good at it. I do it because I'm good at it. When I played football because I loved it and I wanted to be pro. Now, if I was still healthy enough to play football at the level I could have before, I probably would still be playing it whether I was pro or not. But bodybuilding, if I was finishing fifth every show, I wouldn't be doing it anymore. Yeah, I don't love bodybuilding the way I love football. Is my point. I obviously your work directly correlates with the gym, fitness, bodybuilding, competing with with some of your clients or most of your clients. Obviously, you yourself are an athlete. Do you when you work? Obviously, tired is tired, and a lot of work is a lot of work. But do you get any sort of solace out of the fact that what you're doing directly pays into what you love doing? If you know what I mean.
Yes, I mean I'm doing what I love, the PT, and I don't class it as work. I mean I'm doing all them sessions, but it's literally, it's not work for me. It's just
Right.
spending time with people, showing them what I like doing. But saying that, the first prep that I did, if I didn't win, I don't think I'd have done it again. I was
Right. Right.
traumatized by that prep. I found it really hard. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially towards the end, just that first, losing all your fat and just being absolutely starving.
Yeah.
I vowed never to train again. In fact, for about 2 months after, I
Mhm.
didn't go to gym. I was like, I'm not doing it anymore. But then because I did well, I felt like I might as well
Yes.
compete again. But it
Yeah.
didn't stop me from being a PT.
Yeah.
And football, as much as I love football and other sports, just got very nervous. I used to struggle with nerves a lot
Yeah.
for team sports for some reason.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
yeah, but with bodybuilding, we're more not as nerve wracking. So I've always
Yes.
been like a nervy type of person, but
Yeah.
not as much with bodybuilding.
Okay. So with bodybuilding, you talk about nerves. Again, it's good to know because again, you're one of the top guys. So to know that you even feel any sort of nerves is beneficial to the people who may not have stood on stage, or may just not have stood on stage at our level yet. Is that something you still struggle with? And if so, at what point? Because I say that because I feel that I'm not a nervous person anyway, but any sort of nerves that do come in at the early stages of prep
Mm-hmm.
when I control everything. Whereas on stage on the day, it's like, well, you are who you are. What's the point getting nervous now? Whatever you're gonna look like, you look like. So there's no point. What about you?
Yeah, there's hardly any nerves like now. I suppose as I got older, I don't get as nervous, especially with bodybuilding. You're just more excited, aren't you? Just
Yeah,
to
yeah,
like show people
yeah.
like how I'm looking on stage and just to
Mhm.
see the end result. So there's hardly any nerves. Maybe the only time, and when I prep my clients for these shows, the only time you get nervous is in the pumping up room
Yeah,
normally. Because you're just seeing everyone around you and everyone looks like really good. You just think,
yeah,
oh God, look at this guy over here.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But yeah, it's not that bad.
That's the bit that I. That's the bit that I. Uh, on the day, that's the bit where I'm like, oh, I want to see what everyone else looks like before we go out. Because
Yeah.
obviously in the lineup, I don't look around me at all. So even if I'm moving position, it's not like I try and get a quick glimpse of anybody. I'm in my zone. Like as far as I'm concerned, I'm the only one up there. That's how I am. I dial in, really dial in. Um, in the pump up room, like you say, that's that moment where I'm kind of seeing what someone else looks like, seeing what size they're bringing. The thing with me, the massive benefit to me, with you being a heavyweight, is a contrasting feeling. Maybe I'm always going to be one of the smaller guys in stature because I know I'm a middleweight, but I'm a light middleweight. I'm like basement middleweight. There's been on two occasions they've almost had to be like borderline lightweight. Like I'm not very heavy, so I don't ever go into these situations feeling like, oh shit, he's big, because everyone's big to me. Everyone's always bigger than me. So I don't care. So I'm like, that's irrelevant. Now, condition, I'm like, If he comes in shredded and he's bigger than me, that's a problem to me. Yeah. So that's something that I think about. When you think about you turning up on the day or you being at the show at the time in the pump up room, what is it you're looking for as like a potential, not a problem, but just something you're like, oh, he might give me a problem because of this feature or because of this that he's got, this skill he's got.
Just
Anything?
like who people are looking at. I remember when I were up against Sol,
Yeah.
and the people that did the tan
Yeah.
were
Yeah.
like just had their arms like that. They were looking at Sol like, yeah, Sol's got this, Sol's
Yeah.
got this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm like, flipping heck. And everyone's looking at him because he was massive, and he had like I think an extra 10 kilogram on me. He was a big
Yeah.
guy,
Yeah. Yeah. He's big.
but just managed to pip it. I think there were one vote in it, so it could have gone either way.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I remember that. I remember that. I saw the pictures after. I didn't go to that show, but I saw the pictures because I was meant to be at that show. And then when I realized that you were doing it and Sol was doing it, I was like, "Was no point," because I didn't beat Sol at the DFAC and didn't get my pro card there because he got it and Marcus Lee got it. And it's like I'm not gonna obviously beat you, and I'm not because I saw you just come second to Dave, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, at the Grand Prix.
Mhm.
So I'm like, so I'm not gonna beat you. That's immediately not happening. And then Sol, definitely not. Because I just got smoked by him, so it's like no, I'm not even going. So I saw, but I saw your, or it might not have been your post, but I saw posts after with you two on stage, and I was like, the conditioning was glaring. I will say your conditioning was so far ahead of his, and that, and he was so shredded. Like I remember seeing him at the DFAC, and I was like,
I
sorry,
think
the BMBF.
he were better at the BMBF. I think I've
He
seen them
was.
pictures. I think he were better then.
He was better
To be
because
honest,
I'm looking at him on the BMBF stage, and I was like, well, I saw him in the pump up room, and I'm like, yes, he's big. Everyone's bigger than me. Don't care, but he's fucking shredded. Because when I saw
yeah,
Theo, for example, I think that year Theo finished fourth, and Theo's obviously the biggest guy there. He's always the biggest guy there. And I looked at him and I was like, yeah, he's big, but he's not shredded, so he might not give as many issues. But Solomon had a good mixture of both. I do think his conditioning probably dropped a little bit for the UK DFBA, but like you say, he was still a big guy. He was
yeah.
still very big, very shapely. He got a good structure on him. I don't know when he's competing next either.
I was chatting to him, and I think he's got a few injuries
Yeah, he
actually.
does. His back in particular.
Yeah, so who knows? He needs to get them sorted, really, doesn't he?
Yeah,
But
because he's
I was watching at that BNBF show and sat next to my girlfriend, and he were on stage. I was like, because I knew I was going against him. I said to my girlfriend, I said, "Do you think I'll beat him?" She's
he
like,
is.
"I don't know. He's big, isn't he?" I'm
Yeah,
like,
he's
"Oh, yeah."
he's he's very big. He's very big, and yeah, I want to see him compete again, and I want to compete against him again. Like I have this thing, I want to stand on stage with him again and Marcus again, because they're the only two guys who have beaten me. I've never lost my class, and I've only been beaten in the overall by Solomon twice at the Midlands, and then at the British where he got his pro card, and then Marcus at the British when he got his pro card. So I want to get mine back.
Yeah.
but
It,
I don't know. Marcus is in and out as well, so I don't know.
it's demoralising though when you find out who's competing. So I knew David Kay were competing last time,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
and so I thought, yeah, I'm going to like really try my best against him. I knew Keith were competing as well. I was like, it's good an OPO.
yeah,
I thought, flipping it, it's going to be a real tough. And then Nathan, last minute,
yeah.
you know, Nathan. I rang my girlfriend again. I said, I don't think I'm going to do this show. You know, all them are doing it.
No, I can imagine. Like, I don't know, man. I think I don't talk openly a lot about. Sorry, my camera's definitely not focused. That's better. Um, I don't talk openly a lot about my attitude going into shows. I just always think I'm gonna win. Like it sounds so arrogant, but I always think I'm gonna win. I went into 2021 like I don't care who turns up. It's mine. I know it's mine. Make space in the car because I'm gonna have to put that sword in there. That's literally how I was. Like I was so confident, it was unreal. And again, I train like I'm last place. Always, always will. I train with a chip on my shoulder, like I don't deserve anything, and I'm gonna prove people wrong. That's how I train. But when I look at myself and I'm like, cool, right, you're in shape now. Like I'm talking like 4 to 6 weeks out because we get ready early. I'm ready early most of the time, and then we cruise in. And I'm sitting there, look at myself in the mirror, and I'm like, oh yeah, Gene, this is yours. It's got to be yours. That's like no one can convince me that I'm not going to win. So if I stand on stage next year and Dave said he's competing, Nate says he's competing, you're obviously competing, Solomon says he's competing, Marcus is competing. That's a dream to me. Because in my mind, I'm like more people that I can beat. that's how I am. And I'm not trying to be arrogant. You again, I will sing everybody's praises louder than I'll ever sing mine. Always. I work to try and be your level, and until you beat somebody, you are not their level. I just don't believe that that's how it is. I think I am just a sports. I'm a competitor to the core, and results matter. I don't care what you looked like yesterday. You were off today, and I beat you today. So I beat you. That's it. I don't care that you were ill or whatever. That's irrelevant to me. Don't turn up. If you were ill and you knew your look was compromised, don't turn up. Because as far as I beat you, I'm not going to ever say to anybody, yeah, I beat Dave, but he was off. I'm not telling no one that. When you say, have you beaten Dave before? Yes. If anyone wants to defend him, feel free. But you've turned up. I've beat what's turned up. That's all I can do. It wasn't my fault that you weren't on. You know what I mean? That's how I am. And just a little insight into me, because I'm very competitive. Very competitive. Not to a point where I want everyone to be their best. Like if you ask me anything now, like, oh, Gene, I've noticed, I saw in your training clips that you do this. I don't really do that. Why do you do that? I'll explain it to anybody. Because I want you to be your best. I just believe that if I'm at my very best, I will not be beaten. That's just how I am mentally.
I think that could benefit your physique as well. I remember Alberto said that to me. He says, like 2 weeks out, I said, I want you to get it into your head that you're unbeatable.
Yes.
And I thought, well, that's a different way of thinking, you know.
Yeah.
You could just drop a load of stress instead of like doubting yourself, just like confident.
Yeah.
I thought that's like mind games almost.
Yes, I'm sitting 3 weeks out and I'm like, oh, the show should be tomorrow. Like I need to be. If I show people, I just want to. The sooner I get to stand on stage, the sooner I get my trophy. That's how I feel in the moment in prep. In the off season, oh my god, I'm my worst critic. Oh, I'm the worst critic of myself. Everything's shit. Every picture I take, I got some pictures taken yesterday. I was at the gym with a couple of guys yesterday, and one of the guys, my videographer, he always has a camera with him, so he just took some photos of me. He sent me them today. 88.7, abs in, lines in my glutes, but I hold my weight in my, not glutes, sorry, lines in my quads. I hold weight in my, I'm flabby on my butt and I'm flabby on my obliques. That's where I hold my weight. My delts still have lines in them and little things like that. Like, I hold weight in places that I don't think are very favorable, but it is what it is. All I did was just tear it apart. I just looked at the physique and I'm like, Gene, man, 2 years and that's all you've done. That's literally what I said to myself out loud.
You can't see it though. In off season, you've just got a layer of fat, haven't you? Really?
Exactly. You can't see it.
Yeah.
But so when I'm shredded, I'm like, oh, Gene, yeah, you're the best thing ever. Like, you'll be fine. You're gonna be perfect.
Yeah.
But
I'm sending my physique updates to AJ, and a couple of times I'm like, not happy with physique.
Yeah.
I've never done off season like physique updates. It's always just been on the way down. But now it's just like. Yeah. I'm not uploading anything on social media.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you, mate. I don't like it either. And again, whatever you post, most of the time people will find it way more impressive than you find it yourself. 100%. If I posted what I posted now and I say I'm 88.7 and I put a side by side from what I looked like at 88 last time, I was fat at 88 last time. Not fat, but I had no abs at 88 last time. Now I look like I'm holding it really well. So for me, that's a massive jump. And mentally, in a way, I'm like, as far as the analytics are concerned, I know I've improved. I know I have. Because I've never held this weight like that. So I must have improved. But just looking at the look, I'm like, I don't like the way that looks. I need to be shredded before I can really appreciate it. Yeah. So I beat myself up in the off season. But yeah, going into a competition, I've done it since football. Like, as far as I'm concerned, if I go out there and, again, there's 10 other guys on the pitch, as far as I'm concerned, if I do my job, we're winning. That's just how I am. I'm very competitive. Like, I'm like, if I do my job as a striker as well, if I do my job and I score my goals, we're winning.
I used to play up front. I never used to score, though. I never used to score. I used to flick them on.
Yeah. You know what? You'd have been the perfect partner for me. Yeah, you'd have been the perfect partner for me because I was rapid. And I was short and very quick. I was quite powerful as well, but I was very quick. And I'd either play on the wing or up front. And bare minimum, I had to score one a game. bare minimum, like
I were
towards
like
the end.
Weghorst. I were a worker. I were a
Yeah,
team man.
I like that. That's what I like. I was more like Jamie Vardy, hang on the last man and sprint in behind. That's what I needed. That's what I needed. Who'd you support? Manchester United, probably.
Yeah, yeah.
I figured so. Yeah, you guys.
But I did start. I'll say this: I were a Burnley fan first.
Right,
Then I went to Blackburn Rovers,
right,
and then I went to United.
right.
Then I went to City.
Oh, that's bad.
But then I've come back to United.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So I
yeah.
went to Blackburn because they were good.
Yes.
Blackburn went rubbish.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I went to United.
Yeah.
United were good, but then they went rubbish.
Yeah.
I went to City, but I
Yeah.
thought I'll just go back to United.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm not a proper
City.
fan, I don't think.
No, listen, it is what it is. I support Tottenham. I'm not born in London. Almost was, but I'm not born in London. And even if I was
Swap
born
to
in London,
Arsenal. Swap to
hmm?
Arsenal. You should swap to Arsenal.
Absolutely not.
They're a better
Absolutely not.
team.
Nah, absolutely not. Do you know what? It's just something about the Arsenal fans, man. Don't like them. My cousin, both of them. No, one of my cousins, my older cousin is Arsenal. My younger cousin is Man U. My brother's Man U. My one of my older brothers, very strange, and I'll never understand it. He's Blackburn. We've never had any affiliation up north. So when we were when we were younger, his favorite player, I think his reasoning behind it was one of his favorite players, funnily enough, was David Bentley when he played for Blackburn. Even that was weird to me. I'm like, why? He was good, yeah, but like he thought he was better than he was. You know what I mean? He was all right. He wasn't great, and I was like, cool. He's decent, I guess, but yeah, I just never understood it. And he's been Blackburn ever since, and we have no affiliation with up north whatsoever. My reasoning for Tottenham is Aaron Lennon. When Aaron Lennon moved there from Leeds, obviously he's very obviously I want to be a football player for a very long time, but I was always told like I was short, I was small. So he's him turning up at like 5'4" or whatever he was, and just running past people all day. I'm like, oh, that's me all day.
I walked past him a couple of years ago, just in Manchester City Centre. I looked at him, just like a double glance at him. I thought, who is that? They walked past. I thought, that's Aaron Lennon. I said to
Yeah,
Brogan, he's a footballer. Him.
yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he played at Blackburn, not Blackburn, Burnley. So
Yes, he did. He did. He leads Tottenham for a very long time, and I think from Tottenham he went to Burnley. I think,
mhm.
or maybe he's gone. He went a couple places after, and then he ended up at Burnley. I think he's still at Burnley on their books, or he just got released. He wasn't. Yeah,
Not sure. A couple of years ago, I think that walked
yeah,
past.
yeah, yeah. I think he got released. He had some mental health issues, unfortunately, and I think he got
Right.
released from there. After that, but yeah, no, I saw him in person at when he played for Everton. That's where he was after Tottenham. Everton and Lukaku played for Everton at the time, and they were playing Reading. So I went to Medeski Stadium. Obviously, I live in Reading. For people who don't know, I went to Medeski Stadium. I get free tickets from time to time because I know people amongst football in for the Reading community stuff and all that stuff. So we went. Me and my missus went, and he run onto the pitch, and my missus was like, "Is that a mascot on the pitch? You know, little kids that walk out with the players." He's so little, and obviously I'm only 5'5". So if I'm saying he's short, I'm telling you he's short. Like I know I'm short, but he looked tiny, and I was like flipping now. And you see him on the pitch, and he's just sprinting around, and he's like a little whippet, and you're like, he's so little and he's so quick. It's crazy to see in person, but yeah, man, I love
They're
football.
quick,
Football
aren't they?
was
Them
my thing.
little players are quick.
Yeah,
They're sharp on
yeah.
the feet, aren't they?
Yeah, mate. Football was my first love, 100%. Bodybuilding, I fell into it because of injuries, but football's always the one. Right. One more question to ask you before we shoot them. This is more for me, selfishly, but I do know a couple of guys who have had, well, Opio being one of them. He's obviously now past that. He did his first British title win. Were his daughter was just born. Obviously my daughter's on the way, for people who don't know, surprise I guess, August 1st. And then I know, what's his name, I want to say Ben, his name's Ben, I believe. I can't remember. Heavyweight, I
And
can't remember.
Ben Howard.
No, I'm gonna find out now because it's gonna annoy me otherwise. Sorry, 2 seconds, 2 seconds, 2 seconds. It will not take me long. 2 seconds. Ben. Oh, it's gonna annoy me. That's gonna annoy me. No, sorry, Luke. Luke Dunn, not Ben. Luke
All
Dunn.
right. Yeah,
So
yeah.
Luke Dunn, 2020. Was I competing? Yes, we are in a pump up room. 2021. He just had his little boy. I believe he has a son. Just had his little boy like 3 weeks before the finals or something. So what advice would you give to bodybuilders, including myself, that are having children around the time of competing or small children within the first year, let's say, of getting into prep, or is in terms of like managing your time, managing your meals, your structure, making sure you're still on point with everything. Is there any particular tips you can give, or is it more of just a see how it turns out sort of vibe?
It's a tricky one. You need an understanding partner because obviously preps are selfish, and sleep can be affected.
Yeah,
I luckily have a very good partner. She looked after my youngest a lot during that prep. And I was very selfish actually because I slept in spare room just to look after my sleep.
yeah, 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 yeah.
So yeah, it's tough. Ideally, you want to prep and not have a baby there really,
Yeah,
but it's still doable.
yeah.
It's still doable. I saw Adam Pow, like he just competed, and
Yes.
him and his girlfriend and their baby like flew out, so
Yeah, yeah,
he
yeah,
still functioned normally.
yeah,
Yeah, so it's doable.
yeah,
It's not optimal, but it's
yeah,
still definitely
yeah.
still doable.
No, I definitely want to ask the question because I speak to obviously just regular dads who don't compete like we compete and do like, and even if they have their hobbies, obviously even if this is just a hobby, it's still very full on. Prepping is still prep. It doesn't really matter. So it's important for me to ask the people who are actually in the specific situation that we're in because of all the people that don't have kids and don't have the external pressures of raising a family, making sure you're paying bills at the same time. I've obviously got a 9 to 5. Your job is probably more full on than me because you're stretching clients out throughout the day. So you're away from home, I assume, a lot of the time, any given day. Like, there's pressures that people don't have and they still struggle. So it's good to put in perspective sometimes that there are people who are doing that tenfold, like you. You have a packed schedule, you have two small kids. Obviously, you have a supportive missus, but she's gonna let you know when you're pushing it too far.
Yeah,
Like it's
I,
important to
I think I can handle the preps a little bit better. I think the more preps you do, the better you get.
right.
And I think it was Mike Claxton told me that if you take the prep like as the be all and end all, then it can affect your physique. You get stressed about everything. So just try and be more inclusive and just like not regard it as the be all and end all, and you can actually look better because of it. But it's hard to have that mindset. You see, because
It
you're
is.
putting everything into it, and it means a lot.
Hmm.
It's hard just to like have that family time and
Yeah,
just talk to people in gym type of thing. It's just you're in a bit of a dark place, aren't you? Towards the end, the energy is low. You're absolutely starving.
yeah,
It's hard to have that balance really. But
yeah.
I think that's the goal next time. If I can do a better prep away from the gym and diet, that'll be a successful prep.
Good, good. Well, yeah, Ben, thank you very much for taking time out of your very busy schedule to speak to me. I definitely will give you a shout in the future. I got my. It's just shit at the moment because I got my hernia surgery, and that's going to put me out of the gym for about 6 weeks. Well, they're saying 4 to 6. I'm planning on 4, and then, and then after that, obviously, I'm gonna kind of stop training with people for like maybe a month just to get back to my speed as I'm used to training at. Then I'll go back and train with people. But I want to try and make some time before prep starts for everybody for next year. Just to meet up with some people. I still need to meet Adam Powell. I'd like to come up to Blackburn. You still around Blackburn?
Yeah,
Yeah, I want to come up to Blackburn again and meet you, and we can train. With the tips and stuff that AJ have given you for training, I'm sure the training will be a little bit different to what we did last time as well. So it'd be just good to get involved in that. Um, but yeah, yeah, thank you again. So, is there anything you'd like to discuss? Anything you'd like to promote? I don't know if you've got any sponsors or anything like that. Any shows that you've got clients at that you want people to come and see? Anything like that? Anything before we go?
I've not sponsored. I've got, I think, another three clients competing this year, but that's shows later in the year.
Okay.
Just on Instagram and Facebook, me name's Ben Lloyd Fitness. So if anyone wants to contact me for coaching,
No worries, no worries. And I did just ask, the gym you're based at for PTing?
it's a garage gym. It's my mum's house. They've got a garage, a little single detached garage. That's where I do my PT sessions.
Oh yeah, sorry. What was that the case? Was that the case when I came up to train with you?
No, that wasn't a garage gym. That was a
Yes,
proper gym.
exactly. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you weren't coaching people out of that. Everyone you coached or PT'd was in that gym, wasn't it?
But the gym that we trained
Yeah,
in,
yeah, yeah.
not really. I don't get many clients at my gym.
All right.
Not really.
Hmm.
Well, I do get a few, but yeah, all my PT sessions are done in a garage gym.
Nice. Okay, well that's easy. Um, well yeah, anybody who wants PTing, online coaching, I'm sure would be more beneficial to Ben, because he's not trying to take up any more time. But yeah, I'm sure he'll welcome new clients. Either way, contact him. I will put his Facebook and Instagram at the bottom and probably tag on the video anyway at the beginning of the video and probably again at the end, so you'll catch that. Yeah, follow him on Instagram. He's always got his transformations. This fucking camera. He's always still yep. He's always got his transformations. Always posting testimonials and transformations on his Instagram. So if you're unsure of the quality you're going to get out of his training, you don't really have to ask any questions at that point. He's got hundreds, males, females, young, old, doesn't matter, competitive, non-competitive. He does it all. So give him a shout if you're interested. Ben, thank you again. I'll definitely be in touch with you soon. Yeah, hope you guys enjoyed and see you next time. Cheers.